This one here, the Audi RS7 Sportback, is probably, maybe we can agree on that, the sportiest Audi, just from the look. But what else? What about the power? What about the exterior details and the interior? Let's find out together on Autogefuehl. Let's go. Well, it's not a small car, but it just looks so sleek in the front. Yes, of course, also wide, but sleek in a very sporty way with those accentuations on the hood and those headlamps here. They either come with LED as standard, and usually it would be the next step, matrix LED and then the laser. But here for the RS, they directly hop from the LED to the matrix laser LED. And then you also have this blue accent in there, and also special for the RS, a dark background all around inside the headlamps. Very interesting. Stronger front grille, carbon fiber pack here with the lower spoiler, and you have those glossy black paint all over the grille. And you can also get black Audi rings. You do not have to get them, but you can. And one of my favorite features is obviously, the cascading turning indicator light always looks very spectacular. And this design here was obviously, that well perceived inside Audi design that they landed that one for the Audi RS6 Avant, the whole front. You can also check out that review on Autogefuehl. The length is at 5 meters, 16 foot 4 or 197 inches, and that's actually a couple of centimeters longer than the normal A7, just because of those strong spoilers front and the rear. The car is then overall a little bit longer, but of course not chassis wise or something like that. Then here 21-inch wheels would be standard. Those ones are the optional 22-inch wheels, pretty massive. Of course, you will lose some of the comfort then. And there are also the optional carbon ceramic brakes. Well, boost up the price even more. Will have aggressive braking performance, and especially for track use. Yeah, track use will probably not happen with this car. People use it as an everyday driver car indeed. And there also the air suspension fits to the vehicle. It's set on a sportier note. And also a little bit lower, 10 millimeters lower than the normal A7. And it goes even more 10 millimeters lower when you're driving higher speed, more than 120 kilometers an hour. And what's also interesting, you can optionally go for DRC. That's a fixed suspension that has 3 different levels to pick from. It's not adaptive, but 3 different stiffness levels you can pick if you want an even sportier ride than the air suspension. But again, if you want everyday driving comfort, I cannot really recommend it. Special about the RS7, or in general the A7, is of course this fastback line that's so beautiful and so sleek in design. The RS gets also, when you want a carbon lip in the lower body, also can pick different contrast colors for those. Tango Red is our vehicle color for today. And again, this is just such a lovely area with a strong shoulder. You can look at it all day. I really needed to show you this 3/4 rear perspective. This is the chocolate side of the A7 in general. Wow. I mean, this is such a design object. And Audi Sport decided to bring this one here, the RS7, as the top model, together with the RS6 Avant, and not go for the A6 sedan. And that's the same what they also did with the mid-sized model. So where we have the RS5 and also the RS4 Avant instead of the RS4 sedan. So very interesting strategy, and this one has the sportiest look, yes, and maybe also the sportiest engine fits to it. You can see this light strip goes all over the car, as well as the width, and also has a different form than when you look at it from here, from the A6 and the A8. They all have their, somehow a different form. The A7 more goes like this, the A6 is more like straight, and the A8 more goes like this. So like Audi rings, you can see it right there. You can also opt for brighter ones. I mean, also another perspective, you can look at it all day. Technology highlight wise, what else is interesting? You can have a rear axle steering optional, so that goes 5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels at slow speeds, 2% in the same direction at higher speeds to stabilize the car. And you can also get a sport differential lock here for the rear axle together in one dynamic package. Both in the front and in the rear, the RS7 is 2 centimeters wider per side than a normal A7, again to stress this width. So most of the parts on the exterior, like the very exterior parts, are really specific for the RS7. And then you can see here this very interesting floating spoiler with the diffuser style, also honeycomb structure inside, and in this case again with a carbon fiber package. But again, you have some other options for that too. RS7 badge right there. And then this exhaust, the outer tip is just, for beauty. It's also a little bit exaggerated. I think the real tips are on the inside, but at least it's not a pure fake exhaust. This one here, the performance exhaust, the normal one has a chrome frame around it. And this one, might sound a little bit different. We'll soon also again find out. Well, the Audi A6 sedan has more downforce due to the building form. Here, with the A7 Sportback, it's actually, less downforce at the rear, and that's why you have this additional wing that folds out automatically when you drive really fast. But when you just want to play around or show off to your friends, you can also press a button in the infotainment screen. So, whereas the S models get a 2.9 liter V6 petrol or a 3 liter diesel in Europe, yeah, the one with the fake exhaust. Here, the RS model gets the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo petrol engine, 600 horsepower, 800 newton meters of torque, and the acceleration figures are 3.6 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, and 12 seconds to 200 kilometers or 125 miles per hour. That's of course pretty massive. Combined with the converter automatic gearbox, all-wheel drive setup is 40% front, 60% in rear, then a little bit adaptive. Can put a little bit more to the rear, but also a little bit more to the front, depending on the situation. But definitely you have a rear wheel bias. This is the car key, RS badge at the other side. Keyless entry works like that. When you put your hand on the outside, it closes. That's the way it is. And inside, it opens the car again. You could also maybe hear the click. Here's also a soft close if you want that option. Don't need it, but it's a nice function, definitely. Then the A7, of course, with those frameless doors. Here with the windows, double insulation layer you can also see right there. Then at the inside of the doors, also nice build quality with the carbon fiber style inlet here. Also some Alcantara use at the inside. Good quality for the buttons too. 2 memory seating slots. Well, just place for small bottles at the inside of the doors. Then there's an RS7 entry badge together with some special RS floor mats. That's a design package too with the floor mats. Yeah, floor mats quite often are an extra at the vehicle too. And then my favorite for today is this Alcantara steering wheel. First of all, because it has a sporty form, also has a flat bottom and a very good grip with this microfiber surface. This sport seat here is standard. You can also get it with the Alcantara on the inside, what we would recommend. And this one here is the RS seat with the integrated head restraint. However, if you want more comfort, you can also get another comfort seat, also with Alcantara, for example, at least on the inside. This one then the full animal skin spec, also with this quilted structure, which looks cool, but those stitches and also this structure here is not that comfortable on the long-term run. That's my experience with the previous model of the RS7. Let's get inside, and the A7 in general has this flatter A-pillar already, so you don't have so much space in the interior here as you compare to the A6. But still, it's not such a huge difference. 1m86 or 6'1", still have enough head clearance right there, and somehow you do feel that you're sitting in the 7. It's just a little bit cooler, and it has such a cool design on the exterior. Somehow you always feel it on the interior. I really love this vehicle for for the driving. Also, haven't driven the new generation RS7 yet, of course. We will soon deliver it to you. But the previous one also drove very well. Again, it's good when you stick with the air suspension, stick with the with a comfort seat then, with the Alcantara, that makes it better, and probably with the 21-inch rims. That would be my comfort tip for today. Those ones here are the electric seats. You can put them up in the front. You can also put the lower area a little bit longer. That's just a manual one now. In this case, there's also electric steering support, but I wouldn't bet on it that this is not an extra. Usually the A6 comes first with the manual steering support, but it also does the job. And one special RS feature you can always see here is that they are real aluminum shifting pedals, so they are also a little bit different than the normal ones. The interior overview, everything is really clean. Then you have this dashboard where you can maybe have breakfast or something together with your co-driver. That would be a nice idea, wouldn't it? Yeah, but you know, when I'm driving a car, there's no food in the car. Sorry about that. Yeah. What about you? Food allowed in your car? Tell me in the comments. Nice quattro badge right there. It will also be illuminated from the LED ambient light. Then you have a 10.1 inch top screen here, 8.6 below that. They also play together. Soon more details to that. And the virtual cockpit here, 12.3 inch. And there's a new RS mode button right there. When you click it, it changes the virtual instruments and you can go to 2 RS modes. You can configure here right there. I'll soon show that to you. Other than that, you control the volume here at the right side of the steering wheel. You can also have the voice input. Set temperature to 23 degrees. That's a bad idea for the yeah, that works. So that works. And for example, for the GPS map input, like drive me to Berlin or something, you can say, but yeah, that's a bad idea for today. It's so hot in this car at the moment, in this studio here. And then the left side, you can control the digital instruments. You will be able to zoom in and out of the map. That's a very good function for your left thumb, for example. Then a nice Alcantara cover for the shifting lever right there. There is an Audi AI button. This Audi AI button, very interesting, it does not belong to this very vehicle. This one here is a prototype vehicle, therefore they just put it in here like as a test. This button you will have at a later stage in those big Audi models, and it will be a button for extended self-parking functions. Very interesting, so like more semi-autonomous functions. There's a camera button available. Then you can also go to the 3D view and have a beautiful view of the car. This is actually a live camera image where you can also protect your precious wheels right there. And a volume knob is still left here. Other than that, everything is done with this infotainment screen. Last thing you can see here are those cup holders, which are adaptive and have some 12-volt power supply, but there will be more power sockets soon to come. GPS right there. Look how fast this visualization approaches. Wow, it's really very cool, and you can also get a satellite view for it. Other than that, the main menu is in an app view, so to say, easy to learn. Phone wireless CarPlay is now available for this car also, or other cable connection for the Android Auto or the Apple CarPlay. And oh no, we don't want any traffic information right now. And what else is interesting? Definitely here this car menu where you have the RS monitor with special gauges, tire pressure loss indicator, or also the car temperature for the coolant or the engine oil. You can see different stages for that. And the G meter also as a big visualization here in the middle part. What else? In the Audi Drive Select, you can have different driving modes. Dynamic mode will lower the car with the air suspension, make it sportier even. Then you can go for RS1 or RS2 modes, and then you can have the different settings here for those modes, which then can be accessed again with pressing the RS mode button at the steering wheel. Yeah, that's new stuff to play around with. And by the way, when you click search here in the infotainment system in the upper part, then in the lower screen you can either use a separate input here with clicking the letters, or you can also directly write something, not only as a single letter, but also the direct word. Like here I write Hamburg. This is a beautiful handwriting, isn't it? No, mine is pretty weird, I have to admit. So, and then we can directly access Hamburg, for example, in the GPS. Other than that, when you stay in the home screen, the lower one here will be for the temperature, like this, or clicking. Both is possible, or then the voice input as I've shown you earlier. This is also the button here for the rear wing where it folds up and down again, so you can also have some fun here with the lower screen. But accessing it while driving is somewhat complicated. That's the downside. I really like it when the virtual cockpit shows the GPS map all the way, then you can better follow it, definitely. But you can also change the view a little bit like this, or have other information just in your line of sight. And with the RS mode, then you can check it out here. I have the big RPM meter, so there's a special RS mode, and then there's RS1 or RS2, and then the setting will change the way you want to have it. And this is, by the way, the Apple CarPlay integration, so uses most of the screen. I think the integration is quite good. Here on the left side you have then also the hotkeys when you are in some of those menus. And the music with this Bang & Olufsen sound system is really cool. It's very in-depth sound, so to say, very crisp and clear. I can really recommend it. Nice. You can slide the armrest forward and backward, and you can also fix it in a certain position. Yeah, there it is, a little slowly. They can put it higher, for example, and all the way up, of course, for inductive charging platform and USB devices, normal ones, classic ones, 1 and 2, here in the front. Well, here in the rear, it's somewhat cozy, yes. There are more comfortable cars for that, but, you feel very much caged in around with this dark ceiling, especially in this case, Alcantara ceiling. There's some reasonable legroom left, that's okay. Of course, there are cars with better packages. Also because the rear bench falls backward a little bit, that gains some headroom and legroom, but doesn't make the seating position more comfortable. Yeah, that's how it is. In the middle part, it's theoretically possible to sit, but not that good. I can put my head upright, that's possible, with 1.86 m or 6'1". Yeah, but that's coming very close. That would be better with the Avant, with the Estate, where the roof is just continued right there. Then there's a 4-zone AC unit here in the rear and 2 more USB supplies. Then we also have an armrest, adaptive cup holders, and we can use this one here as a whole ski hatch. And we can also already flip the whole seat bench from here. There's also a special design package here with those red contrasts, and for example, we also have them here at the seat belts at the outside. So what about the trunk of the A7? Because the cool thing is you have a sporty looking car, but then you have this fastback style and you can load things in and out as easy as with a true Estate. That's a very interesting approach. Underneath here, there's just some tire replacement kit and so on, tire repair kit. Then there's this fixed cover. You can take it out completely, and then very interesting, this net here, additional net, you can put it up and maybe to put things here that they don't fall to the interior braking then. But I'm not sure what should you fit in there. Maybe like, from the 1970s, like the toilet paper rolls, which had those self-made covers. I don't know if it's about that. Especially Germans who drove cars in the 1970s will know it. But, yeah, strange but interesting, definitely. And normal measurements here in the length is about 1.20 m. Like this, and about just over 1 meter in width. You just limit it a little bit here in height, of course. This is just 30 centimeters in the lowest part, and then here up to the cover almost 50 centimeters. But still, it's such a good compromise between this sporty look, this approach, and then still able to fit a lot of things in there. Maybe just when you have a mountain bike downhill handlebar or something, would be like, mine up. Probably like this. Well, some that won't fit. That will only fit in the Estate when you lay them flat. Then that's the only limitation. Other than that, I think definitely better to use than a sedan. And last but not least, we do a child safety test today. After we flip the seats, forgot those. Been a long day for me. Hope you still enjoy the episode with me. So you have to do it from the rear. So you have to go around and do it like this. But that's more entertaining for you then when there's some Thomas workout. Here we go. So and then. For the last time today, we flip out this one, so. And this will be, to my seat, about 2 meters. That's definitely pretty decent. And last but not least, so this one is gone now for today, and now the child safety test. Yeah. That was already pretty strong, so somewhat in between. Not too strong, but also not pretty soft. Yeah, so still okay, I would say, but that hurt a little. So maybe a little bit less torque as for that would be even better. There, ta-da, the full closing. Usually when we do our conclusion, we still have a front 3/4 perspective, but with this one, I have to end with this perspective, sorry. That wasn't necessary. So exterior, I think we can all agree, such a beautiful vehicle. And even with those very sporty accentuations, with those, a little bit maybe too extreme exhaust, beauty tips on the outside, half fake, I would say, and those really large rims, it still looks somewhat elegant, and that's not quite often with those top sporty models. I would probably take less black and more the chrome elements, just my personal choice. The red is also pretty cool, but I would also take a Thomas Blue, of course, for this car. The interior has a very good build quality. The touchscreens and so on, they are actually quite easy to learn, and everything is very nicely visualized. However, you can always argue if while driving a central control knob is a little bit more practical and safer to use. But voice control now gets better and better, although Audi, as for the voice input, is not as up to the game with BMW and Mercedes yet. Probably they will change something for the future models there. They have to, actually. Then the rear and the inside is actually quite well to use still, considering it's a coupe style car, but it fits still for tall people. And the trunk, actually quite astonishingly, that for such a sporty vehicle you can easily load things in and out. So that's a unique selling point here, definitely for the 7 models of Audi. Driving wise, we can expect, of course, a lot of performance. Really looking forward to drive this one if that really still masters sportiness and comfort. The S7 was a very cool ride. But of course, this diesel 3-liter diesel power was, somewhat good for everyday driving and a little bit lower fuel consumption. This one then here, the true performance version. Let's see how that one plays out. What can they still do? I mean, they have a mild hybrid system and cylinder on demand, so cylinder deactivation technology. So that's something more towards sustainability. Will that drop the fuel consumption? I'm not exactly sure about that. We have to find out about that. Of course, on the interior, they need to use less animal skin. It's, it's modern times and should belong to the past, the same as street lanterns are not powered by whale fat anymore. But Audi is also learning. We've seen that with the newer concept models. Other than that, I think it's a really fantastic car. I'm not sure if I would spend all the money for, more than double the base price at least for this one. So it will always be way more than 100K. That's really a harsh price, so money shouldn't matter to you then. I really like a 3-liter TFSI. We've already driven that one. You can check it out, that review in the video description. That is a really cool car and a cool combination. It will definitely be enough, and maybe this one, leave it for dreaming. Or, are you really intending to buy this one? Then put it in the comments. So let's discuss now about the Audi RS7 and tune into more episodes of Audi RS cars. Or, of course, also our full driving reviews with the normal versions. We have everything you need here on Autogefuehl. Thank you so much for tuning in.